This video is going to be fantastic. I can't wait for everybody to see this because Coach Cignetti is unbelievable what he's accomplished. First year as the head coach at Indiana. Let's hear what he has to say.
I like to get to the hotel as late as possible. I don't like spending a lot of time in a hotel. My director of football ops, they've got all these designs. Go out Thursday, this is what you got to do. No. We ain't doing that, guys. So, we're going to get there as late as possible. We're going to wake up and we're going to play the game and we're going to come back. That's what we did. We got to the hotel about 8 o'clock at night, ate our meal, went to bed, woke up, played 3:30, kicked their ass, and came home.
Pat McAfee, I mean, the guy, what's great about Pat McAfee is here's a guy who was a punter. And for people who don't know, in the NFL, punters, kickers, you love them and you hate them, right? I mean, they're not really, they're not doing all the hitting. They're not doing all the crazy stuff on the field that everybody else is. And even quarterbacks take hits a lot, as a matter of fact. Just ask Tua. But I'll tell you, Pat McAfee is so funny, so clever. He makes game day on Saturdays better. And his show is absolutely unbelievable. It's must watch. So it's really fun. And I'll tell you what, this coach Cignetti is really something special. Justin, when I look at this guy, I was a Big Ten player. And when I played in the Big Ten, Indiana was literally awful. And they were pretty much potentially almost always fairly awful. And this is the first time in the history of the school that they're 10-0, which kind of segues me into this whole thing, which is I said at the beginning of the year, I don't think that there's going to be an undefeated team this year that goes through the entire year. Now, I could be proven wrong by that because we're getting close to the end of the year, and we've got 4 of them left. We've got Army, and Army's sitting 9-0, but they've got to go out and play Notre Dame. And Oregon is 10-0. They got lucky against Ohio State. If the quarterback from Ohio State doesn't slide, if he slides 2 seconds earlier, they get a field goal opportunity deep in territory. But instead, he spent too much time. They didn't have the ability to call the timeout. They lost 32-31. That was Ohio State. Oregon won at home. So that was a big one. That was a huge one. Indiana at 10-0 is absolutely spectacular. They just got done beating Michigan, something they don't do very often. And what they've been able to do with that program in 1 year with the portal, with NIL and all the rest of it has been absolutely incredible. Then you got BYU. BYU is one of these teams where in the past they were undefeated pretty frequently, but people questioned, well, where you're playing isn't really competitive enough and all the rest of that. Well, they're not where they once were. And BYU still has an undefeated season going on right now. They're unbelievable. They're fun to watch. It's really interesting. Arizona State's maybe the only team that could maybe beat them. Now, you still got playoffs. You still got all of the different things that go even at the end of the season. But I'll tell you what, I might be proven wrong. They might be able to. I look at Oregon as the one team that might literally just get in there without a blemish. But we'll see. What do you think? Is this good for football? Is it good for fans? Is it bad? The fact that I look at it in a positive way, Justin, because it means that there are new teams getting the opportunity because of the portal, because of NIL. They're able to get some of the players from an Alabama and Ohio State and some of these various schools. It makes football a little bit closer to parity in a lot of ways because you look at those top 10 and 20 teams this year, there's a lot of new ones in there. And I think it makes it fun. What about you?
Yeah, a few things. Number one, that clip just shows that DDA extends to everything, right? Like, let's keep these kids out of trouble. I don't want you having any quick one-night stands. I don't want you getting in any trouble. I want to get there as late as possible. I want to get on the field. I want to do the work, and I want to go home. That's honestly great coaching, first of all. Second of all, betting markets look like they give Oregon the best odds of finishing out undefeated, if anyone's going to, right? But you're right. I mean, Indiana still has to fight Ohio State. Army still has to fight Notre Dame. Those are probably going to be the big ones to watch. Probability for them relative to Oregon, significantly lower. And yes, I think that anything that we can do to mix it up in football is just going to be great for the fans, great for people to want to watch each year and feel like they're getting a new experience each year and feel like the same teams that they've been rooting for, that they're like, damn it, why can't we just have a win? Maybe they can have that happen now. That's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think you're right. I think it's great for college football. And I say that as a guy who was really kind of against the portal. And now I look at it and I think, you know what? I still don't like the idea of a kid leaving because the coach yells at him, because that will happen. Because they're like, well, I don't like this, I'm going to leave, and all that kind of thing. I don't like that. But if you look in front of you and you see a guy who's going to start for 2 or 3 years in front of you, you might want to get in that portal and say, you know what, I'm good enough to play, maybe not here, but I could play somewhere else. And you leave Alabama, or you leave Ohio State, or you leave USC, and it gives a lot more parity to the game. So I think it's a positive for college football. And I'm the first guy to apologize for saying all the negative things I did about the portal. All right, next up we got the NFL. Now, this is the time of year it happens every year. We're not going to go on to this too much, but I mean, head coaches, there is a hot seat, and it's getting hotter with the New York Jets, the New York Giants, Chicago Bears, maybe their offensive coordinator already got. I mean, everybody is out there fighting right now in the NFL. New Orleans, are they going to fire their head coach? I mean, everywhere you look, you see somebody who's probably got a little bit of an issue going on, and will they finish out the season? And if so, will they get fired after the season? I mean, it's what the NFL does. It's this big rotation, and the next best offensive coordinator is going to get a head coaching job, and a defensive coordinator is going to get the coaching job. But I had something for you, because I know you live in Hawaii, my favorite place in the world. If I could, and if my wife would let me, I'd be living there right now. But that all being said, I love everything about Hawaii. Who does Hawaii, when you look around, what is it that Hawaii is looking for? Is there a team, because if you come from Iowa, you're probably either a Chicago fan, a Green Bay fan, or a Minnesota fan. Just the way it's going to be. But in Hawaii, what's that like? I mean, you're out there. You tell me, is there a team? I've heard the Rams are what really is the team for Hawaii.
Yeah, that's the perception that I got here too, going to various different sports bars and stuff. The Rams are here being broadcast on TV and everything like that. And when you look it up and you look up the polling, it's Rams all day. The Rams have actively participated in recovery efforts following the Maui wildfire, which obviously was a huge thing for the Hawaiian community. They really, really loved that. And they did a lot of fundraising. The Rams have also partnered with the Hawaiian Tourism Authority to promote tourism to the islands. They did a preseason game at Aloha Stadium.
Cool.
Just huge love that they've shown for Hawaii. So yeah, it makes sense. The Hawaii is Rams town for sure.
Yeah, it's Aloha time, man. I'll tell you. So Tell me this though, because you told me this and I didn't know this. San Francisco 49ers. What's the story with them in Hawaii?
Dude, I wish I knew. I was looking it up. Yeah, so Pete asked me before we get on. He's like, who's the most loved in Hawaii? And I'm like, I think it's the Rams. We look it up. That's true. And when we're looking it up, we're seeing that the 49ers are apparently, according to these polls, the least liked team here. And it's not something that I've quite seen, but it's in a few different polls. Man, I do not know. I don't know if it's about the rivalry with the Seahawks, if Hawaiians love the Seahawks. I don't know, but they don't like them here. That's one thing we can take away.
Oh, that's funny. That is funny. Last thing I got for you guys. How about this? So if I'm in Hawaii, this one really kind of stuck to me. So I'm looking around and I'm thinking, all right, who do I think it, without looking it up, who do I think? And I came up with the Detroit Lions. And you probably would say, well, why would you say the Detroit Lions? I mean, of all the teams in the NFL, why is that the Hawaii team? Back in the 1930s, the Detroit Lions owner decided that he was going to create a color, and he created a color called Honolulu Blue. That is, Honolulu Blue and silver is the color of the Detroit Lions uniform. So I don't know how Detroit can't be the team of Hawaii, man. I mean, they got Honolulu Blue they're wearing every single time they're at home. I mean, it's great. Did you know they had Honolulu Blue as their color? Did you know it was called that?
I absolutely not. You were the person to tell me that. That is so interesting. And now I'll never forget it because that's such a unique fact. That's so cool.